Hey there, I'm Taylor Walden. I'm the owner of Radiate Prints and the host of the Shop Talk with Radiate Prints podcast. And today on the podcast, I had on Rich Balot. Rich is the CEO of Victra, the nation's largest Verizon retailer. He has over 10,000 employees in his company, and they're on track to do, I believe he said, $3.2 billion in revenue this year. Rich was just such a treat to have on the podcast. If you're a longtime listener, you know that when people talk about business in Greenville or Pitt County, a lot of times they'll mention Rich as one of those people that they look up to and that is kind of a symbol of entrepreneurship in our community and across the nation. Today on the podcast, Rich talks about everything from starting a DJ company when he was in high school. He made $100,000 in 1 year when he was 16 years old. That's more than his parents made in the whole year. And to see that that's how he started, it's no surprise that he ended up as successful as he is today. And he shares so much wisdom. He's just an open book on the podcast. He's not afraid to share even his email address with you so that you can reach out to him and ask him questions yourself. I can't wait for you to hear this one, and I hope you enjoy it.
So I started my first business when I was a teenager as a mobile DJ. So I started DJing weddings, corporate events, bar mitzvahs, things like that. I think I was 14 years old. Wow. By the time I was 16, I had 7 guys working for me full time. Actually, the first year I made $100,000, I was 16 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Living at home with my parents. I didn't grow up with money. So I actually made more money than my parents when I was 16 years old, both of them combined. My dad used to charge me double the mortgage to rent my bedroom. And so, yeah, so that was my first business, though. And so all the way through high school, I think I DJ'd. I definitely DJ'd my own prom. Not me, but my brother, one of my employees.
Nice.
And DJ'd all the Conley's proms. I went to school of science and math in Durham for my last 2 years of high school. And, yeah, so I was DJing fraternity events, sorority events, all across the state, big events for like radio stations, things like that.
Wow.
I also was a radio DJ for a little while in there as well.
Okay.
While I was in high school, I was doing, I think, 7 to midnight on 103.7 for my freshman and sophomore year on a big FM radio station. Back then it was called, I think it was Hot 104 or something like that, Hot FM.
Yeah. So did you just really like music and that's how you got into it, or did you see an opportunity to?
No, actually, my parents were, my dad was down in his luck a little bit. And so, so he wasn't doing well financially, and so it was time for me to contribute and help out. And when I used to call in the radio station, this one guy used to say, "Man, you got such a great voice. You ever thought about doing radio?" And I said, "No, I hadn't." And then when I stopped playing sports, and my dad, so actually what happened is I started calling every DJ in the phone book saying, "Hey, I want a job as a DJ." And finally one guy said yes. And then when I started DJing for him when I was 13,
so you were like 12 or 13 when you first started all this?
Yeah, so I was working for somebody else as a DJ at 13, and then I started my own business at 14 because that DJ, unfortunately, was getting more requests from me to DJ than him. And he would come to the weddings and get drunk and then drive me home because I was 14. I couldn't drive. And so I went to my dad and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm really scared about DJing these days because this guy's driving me home drunk."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to start my own business." So my dad took a title loan against his car, 29+% interest. For me to buy my first set of DJ equipment. So pretty cool.
That is really cool. Mm-hmm. So you were running all these teams of DJs in high school.
Mm-hmm. And through college. And then when I was 19, I started at NC State. Okay. And as a freshman there, I started my first cell phone business, which was called ABC Phones, stood for Affordable Beepers and Cellular Phones. You probably don't even know what a beeper is as young as you
My
are.
My parents had one.
Okay. And so then that was one store in Wilson, North Carolina. And today I've got just under 1,750 stores across all 50 states, just under about 10,000 employees.
Oh my gosh.
And this year we'll do $3.2 billion in sales.
Wow. So, and this all started from when you're 19 years old, starting.
Mm-hmm. So 29 years now I've been doing that. October 1st, 1996 is the first day we opened our first store. And
this is with your brother, right?
Yeah, my brother's my partner. Okay. And so he's not taking an active role in the business. He's always been more of a silent partner. And he worked in the medical industry, but we've been partners for 29 years now. And we actually sold the business to private equity about 10 years ago. Okay. I retired for a few years, moved to Florida at the whopping age of 37. And then we ended up, I still own 20% of the company, and private equity firm asked me to come back and help out for a little bit for 6 months to run it in between CEOs. Mm-hmm. And the company started doing really, really good under my leadership again. Okay. And they asked me to stay, and then I stayed. And then in 2021, I actually bought the company back with my brother again. So we're no longer owned by private equity, and we own the company again with a few other partners.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to back up a little bit to when you're at NC State starting this company with so your brother wasn't really involved at the time.
No, so he put in half the money, which we only started the business with $5,000.
Wow.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And but he put in half the money, and he signed on the dotted line anytime I needed a bank note. And then we talk all the time. My brother and I are best friends. We talk, if not every day, every other day.
Oh, cool. So does he live like in Greenville too?
No, he lives in Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, wow. Okay. So is that why you moved to Florida when you retired?
Yeah.
Cool. So when you were in college, so what exactly were you selling and how were you selling it?
Yeah, so when I started the business, I opened a store in Wilson, North Carolina.
Okay.
My father was actually my first employee, so I hired him to come work for us. My dad sold cars and men's clothing his whole life, and so I knew he'd be able to sell. And the first store was there. We sold cell phones and pagers. That was it. And related accessories like cases, chargers, things like that.
Right. At the time, did the average American have a cell phone, or was it kind of still a newer?
In '96, it was really starting to become mainstream, but no, most people didn't have them then.
Okay.
This was back when you had install phones and bag phones primarily, and the handhelds were just starting to come out, like the Zach Morris phones, and then the flip phones, and so on from there.
Cool. So, what did growth look like? Like you were running this while you were in college?
Yeah. So I was a freshman there when I started it. I then transferred to ECU after 2 years.
Okay. What made you transfer?
There was several reasons. Originally, I was in school for electrical engineering, and I was doing great academically. But I realized that business was kind of where it was going, and so I got great advice from a counselor at NC State saying, "Look, Rich, you should go get a business degree. You're a business person."
Right.
And then the company at that time, first store was in Wilson, second store was in Rocky Mount, third store was in Kinston, and then my fifth store was actually in Greenville.
Okay.
So it made sense. At the time, we were with U.S. Cellular, which didn't have coverage kind of west of 95, so I couldn't have a store in Raleigh, so it made sense to come to Greenville. Okay. And I would go to ECU for lunch.
Wow. So you were running this company like with all of these stores while you were in college at 19?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hired my first employee when I was 19, but I couldn't imagine like having multiple locations. And like, I guess like, how do you feel like you were able to learn so quickly how to manage all of that?
I mean, look, lots of mistakes, first of all. Anybody in entrepreneurship who doesn't tell you they make mistakes is lying. I've kind of had a natural knack for it. Both of my grandparents were entrepreneurs as well. My dad was until he didn't do well with it, and so he got into the car business. So I came from a family of entrepreneurs, if you will. And now they didn't teach me anything. I didn't work in those businesses, anything like that.
But you saw
But it was kind of in my genetics, I guess. Okay. And it's just a natural. We always joke in my family, my sister, who's a horse doctor, she's a veterinarian in town, Greenville Mobile Equine Service. And my brother, so my sister's book smart. My brother's street smart. He was like the most popular guy in school growing up. They're twins. And we joke that I'm kind of the combination of two. So I have book smarts and street smarts. So I just naturally was able to lead multiple groups and run it. It's pretty cool. And I'm blessed. God's taking good care of me.
Yeah. So did you finish your degree at ECU?
I did. I have my undergraduate degree in business.
Okay.
I didn't finish my master's.
So you started it though?
I started my master's. I literally needed just electives left to graduate.
Oh, wow.
But I kind of got tired of it. Felt like Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School when I went to grad school, if you've ever seen that movie. And so I just said enough with that. And someday I'll go finish it just for fun.
Okay. So you came back to ECU. Do you feel like making the move from like NC State to ECU like helped you grow the business at all, or coming back here?
Being local to the business made a big difference, right? So, because running a business from afar is actually, particularly back then, we didn't have Zoom and all those tools. So it was really hard to run from Raleigh when the business was here. And so I was coming home all the time, and I still was running the DJ business too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I didn't sell the DJ business until I was in the mid-20s.
Okay.
And so I think I was 24, 25 when I sold the DJ business. So I was DJing parties Friday, Saturday, Sunday, occasionally during the week, but usually in the weekends, and then working in the store the rest of the time, and then during the day. So I was working 7 days a week.
Wow.
When I was 19, 20 years old.
And
going to college.
Oh, my gosh.
It was crazy.
Yeah, not much sleep.
Actually, I got tons of sleep.
Really?
I'm really a good. My wife will tell you I'm a fantastic sleeper. If my head hits the pillow, I'm asleep just like that.
How were your grades in school?
Fantastic. I mean, I was never a straight A student, only because I didn't care. I cared about learning the material, and so the GPA didn't matter to me. And I always said the difference between an A and a B was like an extra hour of homework a night. I didn't have the extra hour, so I learned the material. Didn't worry about doing homework and silly things like that.
Are you a good test taker?
Amazing.
I'm a good test taker too. I didn't do much studying or anything because I would usually sit like 2 or 3 rows back because we had laptops when I went to college. So I would bring my laptop with me and I'd be answering like Etsy messages. I had like one of the biggest Etsy shops in the world when I was in college.
Cool.
And I would remember sitting in the back rows and I'd be like listening as much as I can, but also like trying to like, balance the work. And I had a couple of people who told me I should just drop out and like do it, but I didn't. I stuck with it and finished.
Yeah, good.
And I feel like one of the reasons that I was able to do that was because I was a good test taker, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I took the GMAT to get into grad school. I'll confess, I bought a study guide, never looked at it, didn't know what it was. Got a call, Mr. Balot, you're supposed to be here to take the GMAT today. Are you still coming? Oh, crap. I was hungover. I drank back then, like most college kids, right?
Yeah.
And so I showed up 30 minutes late to take GMAT. They're like, you can't have extra time. I took it and I gave you the score right away and I got a 790. And I thought I bombed it because I thought it was like the SAT at a 1600.
Oh, yeah. What is it out of?
At 800.
Oh, my gosh.
and I was talking to one of my professors. I was telling Dr. Hooser was his name. And I said, I bombed the GMAT. And he's like, what'd you get? And I go 790. And he's laughing. I say, that's not cool laughing at me like that. And he's like, oh, you're serious? I'm like, yeah. He's like, what do you think it's at? I'm like, 1600. He's like, it's at 800. I was like, oh. So yeah, I'm a good test taker.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I guess you graduated from ECU.
I did.
In like, is that like late
99.
90s?
Yeah, okay. December 99.
Okay. What was the next step after that?
I just kept doing the business.
Yeah.
Right? So I was already doing it. At that point, I probably had like 13 to 15 stores.
Okay. Wow.
And just kept adding on and adding on and adding on. And so I started acquiring companies.
Was it with US Cellular?
Yeah, we were with US Cellular until, sometime not too long around there, we switched to Altel.
Okay.
And then Altel got bought by Verizon in 2009, and that's when we switched to Verizon. And we're now Verizon's largest retail partner.
Okay. So at the time you said US Cellular didn't really do anything east of 90 or west of 95.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys were just doing US Cellular. What was the transition like going from US Cellular to Verizon? Well, Altel.
To Altel. Look, we did it back then. It was a rip. I mean, we ripped it off fast. I mean, so it was not a smooth transition. And then for a little while we went non-exclusive, which is where we sold everybody. So back then you didn't have, just originally started off with an A and a B provider in each market. And then they added on what's called the PCS spectrum, which is where you got Sprint PCS, Singular, AT&T, T-Mobile, Suncom, all those companies kind of came in on top. But originally it was AT&T and US Cellular in this market, or AT&T and Verizon, or even a predecessor company, which is like Southeastern Cellular and things like that. So, but switching to Altel at the time, it was crazy. Even with I think we had 13 stores and we switched. And that's a lot. One day you're selling US Cellular, you got to retrain everybody, take down all the signs, put up new signs, new material, train everybody, learn new systems, new logins, and then manage through that transition. Inventory was different back then as well. So it was, that was a lot. But it was a good move because Altel was much larger.
Okay.
And so we were able to, at the time they had the largest network in America. And so we were able to grow west into Charlotte and north into Virginia. And that's when we started the real massive growth.
Okay. How many employees did you have at that point?
Oh gosh, back in then probably 50, 60 employees, something in that range.
Did you know anyone else who was your age that was like running this size company?
No, absolutely not. No. And look, one of my biggest challenges, I didn't have my father. I outgrew my father's mentorship at a very young age, right? Yeah. And so I've had to constantly look for other people who can help me continue to grow because I didn't want the business to outgrow me.
Right. Where did you find other mentors?
So actually, I lucked out. I bought a house, or built a house, I should say. And my next door neighbor was a guy named Eddie Smith, who owns Grady White Boats. And so one day I had a really bad year at business, and I walked over, knocked on his door, and said, Eddie, actually I called him and said, Eddie, can I set up a time to call or talk to you? I'm having a tough time. He says, how about now? Come on over. It's like 8 o'clock at night. I left his house, I think at 11:30 or 12. Wow. We talked. And Eddie actually didn't become a true mentor for me in the business sense, but he guided me. So he's more of a life mentor for me and still is. He's a great guy. We talk. We have lunch at least once a quarter to this day. And but he referred me to a group called YPO, which is Young Presidents Organization. And so I joined that. It's all about education, and it's kind of a certain size business or larger. And so I joined that, got into a forum, which had 8 other guys, or actually 7 other guys plus myself. We meet once a month. We help each other out, share, talk about business, family, and personal issues. And then I ended up hiring a CEO coach that I learned about through that group named Mark Moses. He's actually now the founding CEO of CEO Coaching International. So he's got about 60 coaches who work for him, coaching businesses all across the world now. Cool. But he was my coach and still is to this day. And so I pay for a mentor, if that makes sense, and a coach. I figured, hey, professional athletes have coaches for a reason. Right. Why shouldn't I as a CEO? And then YPO has just been amazing for me.
Yeah, awesome. So when did you, at what point in the business did you make that leap to start I guess, like paying for those like forums and coaching?
Yeah, great question. So let me think back. So that was 2010 when I made that transition. And if you looked at my growth until then, it was pretty flat, very slow growth. And once I did that is when it kind of really took off and the growth accelerated fast once I had that additional insight. I would tell anybody in business they either need a mentor or a coach. I think it's a big misconception that you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
And you can, don't get me wrong, but you're going to make a lot more mistakes. So why not learn from somebody who's kind of been there, done that? For the same reasons that LeBron James has a coach, even though him and Michael Jordan both had coaches. Whether either one's best in the world, who knows? But they both had coaches for a reason, because somebody needs to be able to hold you accountable to yourself.
Yeah. And what would you say to someone who's listening and they're maybe earlier in their business or run a smaller business and maybe can't afford like a high level coach? What would you recommend?
So there's another group called EO, which is Entrepreneurs Organization, much less expensive, smaller businesses. And they have a system built through that called EOS, Entrepreneurs Operating System. Yeah. Are you familiar with that one?
So we're at a point in our business where I've been in business since, I guess, 2016, 17 when I was in college. And there's been one point in 2020 where we had explosive growth and I didn't know what was going on. I would think I was like, gosh, in 2020, I was 22. No. Yeah, 22. And we experienced like going from, it was COVID time. I sold wedding gifts.
Okay.
And weddings stopped happening. So like, we just stopped having orders come in on our Etsy shop. And we pivoted and I had a machine that made cake toppers. So I started making face shields. And I donated face shields and I had people like donating money to me so I could buy the materials and pay my employees. And I made it work. And then PPP hit and we had that for a little bit. And then I made this gift box that said, "Happy Quarantined Birthday." And then I made another one that was like "Happy Quarantine Graduation." And I put them on my Etsy shop and no one bought them for like 2 weeks. So I kind of forgot about it at that point and was just trying to continue on. And then all of a sudden we started having orders come in to the point where we had like 2,000 open orders. And I had to hire 25 people in like 2 weeks to come help me make this stuff. And at the time, like I had like 5 employees, including me and my husband, because I'm an ECU grad too. I graduated in December of 19.
Nice.
So before COVID, I was like, oh, this is finally going to be the year, the year that I get to go out and like not have to worry about doing school and doing the business. And my husband had graduated in May of 19, so 6 months prior. We got married right after he graduated. And he went to go work at a local engineering firm, and 3 months later he quit to come work at the business with me.
That's good.
So we worked together. Yeah. We still work together today.
Wonderful.
But anyway, so we were deep in it, and that year, like 2020, was the last time we had that level of explosive growth, and I think we're in it again right now. But now I'm like 5 years later, so I was able to kind of sense it a little bit more this time. I quickly realized that this level of growth broke every system that we had. So I'm in C12 and I was asking some of my C12 guys about it, and a lot of them use EOS. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, C12. Look, there's so many different groups, right? C12 is one that's more faith-based.
Right.
And then you have EO with like smaller businesses. I shouldn't say small. There's some really large ones, but in North Carolina, it's typically your $1 million a year in sales, maybe a little less. Once you get above about $12 to $15 million a year is what kind of where YPO kicks in.
Right.
And I think YPO is like 46,000 members throughout the world. Every country out there has YPO, and so it's an amazing network. And then as far as when you get a coach, I'd say anybody whose business kind of crosses in that $2 to $3 million range is when you really should be able to afford to pay for a coach, and that's when you can just get crazy acceleration.
Looking back at like, I guess the growth that you guys have seen and like even like, I guess encouraging your employees to grow. When you started the business, did you foresee that you would want to grow at this kind of rate and to this size?
Absolutely not. People ask me that question all the time. Did you ever picture this? No. I opened one store to make sure my dad had a job so my mom wouldn't divorce him because she was tired of him not working. That was it. And then I said, oh, there's something here. Let me keep going. And that's when I opened a second store and then a third, and then just, it kept going from there. And obviously I'm good at what I do because there was literally thousands of people doing what I do, and now there's handful of maybe 2 handfuls of people who do what I do, and we're the largest. And so yeah, but no, never had that vision down then. Nowadays, I plan out where I want to get to, and we have a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan and different goals along the way. But back then it was just, what are we doing today? And we'll worry about tomorrow.
When you look back over like the growth of the business, was there a certain like inflection point where you made the shift from the like, we're going to worry about today mindset to the like, we're actually going to be strategic?
Yeah, when I hired a coach.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Mark and I have been together, I think 14 years now. So about 14 years ago is when he was able to coach me into looking at it in a different way and teaching me his operating system, which has been fantastic.
So you graduated from ECU and you're starting to like build up these stores, and you guys had switched from
US Cellular
to all
Alltel.
So was there any point of like switching the carriers where you guys like ran into any issues, or was everything like?
So with that one, no.
Okay.
But in 2009, when Alltel got bought by Verizon, I was Alltel's largest partner. I had right around 100 stores.
Okay.
And I had to shut down about 70 of them overnight.
Wow.
So they came to me and said, here's a list of locations you have to close immediately. You're no longer authorized to sell.
Okay, that's why.
And so they were like in the same parking lot as their stores. So they were like, we don't need 2 Verizon stores in the same parking lot kind of thing. And I lost, I think it was $13 to $15 million that year. First time I'd ever lost money in my life. And I didn't have enough money built up because I kept kind of doubling down at the blackjack table, right? Take the money I made, put it in the next store, take that money, put it in the next store, et cetera. Oops, sorry. And so that year we lost like $13 to $15 million. And it was a really hard year. And that's the year that I called Mark and hired Mark. And Mark didn't want to take me as a client at first.
Really?
That's a cool story, actually, if you got a second for that one.
Yes.
So I heard about Mark at an EO event in Raleigh, North Carolina, and called him up, said, hey, I've heard about you. I think I need a coach. He said, tell me what's going on. I told him, he said, oh, well, you definitely need a coach. He said, unfortunately, I'm full and I'm not accepting any new clients. And I said, oh, I understand. I said, well, look, I'm going to be in your neighborhood next week, on Wednesday. Is there any chance that, or Sunday, any chance we can have lunch together? He goes, you're going to be in Newport Beach, California? Yes, I am. And obviously I wasn't. And so I flew out to Newport Beach, California, had lunch with him, and then said, by the way, Mark, we had a great lunch. And I said, Mark, we need to go pick out which client you're firing because I'm not leaving until you hire me, until you accept me as a client. And so that's how I got Mark to be my coach. And he said, okay. And I think today he'd tell you I'm his most successful client and also one of his best friends. So pretty cool story.
Why did he hesitate to bring you on?
He was full. He really was full. Like he literally had to fire somebody else to to get time for me. And but we just bonded really well, and it's been a great relationship. And when I left the business, Mark, they stopped working with Mark, and the business went down. And then when I came back, I brought Mark back with me, and it's been doing great since.
So I guess after that year that's the year you called Mark. Is that the year you called Eddie too, or is that different?
It's all the same year. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I called Eddie and said, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm losing money and need some help. And he said, go look at YPO. And then I also found EO and then found Mark through that. And
what did it look like to recover from that and kind of get back on track?
I mean, the next year we made a really big profit. And so we were able to pay back our debt, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
And then honestly, we've never stumbled since. So it's been pretty great. And I think most entrepreneurs, the really successful ones, have a bad year or something bad that happens, they stumble. And I think that's the difference between the really successful entrepreneurs and the others, is when you have that bad year, the ones who don't make it through are the ones don't know how to push through, and they never hit their ultimate success. But if you talk to almost every entrepreneur I know who's really successful, they have a story about where they stumbled. I don't know if you've seen that on your podcast or not too.
I think so. I had Parker Overton on maybe like the second or third episode. He sent out, I think, $1 million worth of catalogs the week of 9/11. Yeah. And he kind of shares that as like his main
Yeah. Parker, by the way, Parker kicks himself a little bit because that one year that I did really bad, I tried to borrow money from Parker and offered him some equity. He didn't take me up on it. So a few people who wish they'd invested with me along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess now, so you said when you and your brother brought it back, you did buy it back with like a few other people.
Yeah. There's some partners from out of town, nobody in town.
Okay, cool. And speaking of like in town, there's some other things you do outside of Victra, luckily.
I'm a little crazy. I'm a serial entrepreneur. So in that period of time when I wasn't active as CEO, I started some other businesses.
Okay.
In Greenville, most of the people, my kind of famous one, if you will, is Bagel Man.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know I own it. John Grillo was a good family friend of my father's and is a friend of my family's. And so he's partnered with us on that, and he kind of runs it along with Jacob, our manager, who does a great job there.
Great bagels.
Thank you. We like him as well. We do a lot of fun stuff in town with the Bagel Man supporting. We're building a new one, honestly.
Oh, really?
We're moving across the street.
Oh, you're moving it?
Yeah,
okay.
We're moving across the street. It's going to be much larger and have a drive-through.
Awesome.
So in between the original Tiebreakers and Bowen Cleaners over there in that area. So literally across the street from where we are. We also own a company called Fast Lending. We own some hotels, a lot of real estate property with ABC Family Properties. We have a company called Zoom Around that does LSV, which is like golf carts that are street legal rentals in both the Outer Banks and in Florida. Right now, a lot of people around here are aware of the fact that we just recently bought the Silver Lake Hotel and Inn, which is down in Ocracoke.
Yeah.
And we're going to rebuild the Jolly Roger Marina and Pub there, which is the restaurant and bar right on the water.
Okay.
Got destroyed about 5 years ago during Dorian. And so we're rebuilding that and renovating the whole hotel. When we're done, it'll be the nicest hotel on Ocracoke.
Awesome.
We're building a new hotel in Siesta Key Beach, Florida, where my brother's at. That starts next month, and so yeah, we like to stay busy. And then on top of that, my wife and I also do a lot of charity stuff, and so we're very involved with John Paul II Catholic High School.
Yep.
And then also my wife runs and started Haven at Blue Creek, which is a rehab facility for women with addiction issues.
Yeah, I think Brian and Josh told me a little bit about that. I almost kind of want to ask her to come on the podcast sometime and hear more about that.
Good luck.
Really cool.
Good luck. Look, my wife, I love my wife. She's amazing. She's a little more shy than I am.
Okay.
So we'll see if she can do it, and she does a great job. She's
Yeah.
actually a fantastic speaker, but see if you can twist her arm to get her out here. But she's got an amazing place out there. It does a lot of real good
Awesome.
For women in this area and others, and so helping them get out of addiction. And she's got an amazing success rate. Over 80%
Wow.
of her patients are staying sober out there, and she's treated over 100 women. So
That's really cool.
I'm really impressed with my wife. She does a great job.
How did you guys meet?
I hired her.
Really?
Yeah, a good friend of ours referred her to come work for me. And so I hired her, and then we didn't date for a while. And I had a girlfriend, she had a boyfriend, for a few years. And then we were both single, and kind of happened. And then when we got engaged, we remember this part of the story a little differently. So if she's on the show, you can ask her about it. But I recall saying, okay, now that we're engaged, you need to get a job somewhere else because I don't want my wife to work for me. And she said, I thought we'd be business partners. I said, no, Dave's my business partner, my brother.
Yeah.
And so then she went back to school and finished her degree at ECU as well.
Okay, cool. So was this like how early in the business was she
So we've been
hired?
married, Joey plus 2, so 22 years now.
Okay.
Joey's my oldest son, so
Okay.
he was born in April. We got married in May, so it's close enough.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we've been married 22 years now. The business is 29 years old, so 7 years into the company is when we got married.
Wow. You said you have kids. How many kids do you guys have?
We have 4 children. So
Okay.
I've got 20, 19 boys. They're both in college, one at Lenore Ryan playing soccer and one at UNC Charlotte. And then I've got my 2 girls at JP2. One's a senior and one is a sophomore,
Awesome.
15 and 17.
Did they have any aspirations to go into business?
I don't think so, actually. I think my oldest son, Joey, might go into business, more of like a hunting lodge kind of concept. I could see that happening. Phoenix either wants to go into finance or marine biology. Judy, we'll see what she wants to do. She's talked about either doing like hair or joining the CIA.
Okay.
And,
Two paths there.
little different, right? Who knows? Maybe she'll be a spy cutting hair someday.
There you go.
But and then my daughter Phoebe, I think will go into mental health. But so I don't think so on my kids. I do have a niece or a nephew that I think could end up doing more entrepreneur stuff, and we'll guide them as much as we can.
Because it sounds kind of like it's been a family affair, like watching like your grandparents and your dad and.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, they each ran a single shop, and so it's different, completely different level of running one location. But I don't remember, like that all happened before I was born.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so my dad went bankrupt actually when I was probably 4 or 5 years old and lost his business. So my true memories are not of that, but I heard stories, and when you're around business people, you hear that stuff. So.
Yeah. So to back up, I want to ask about the Ocracoke Hotel. Was that like a passion thing for you guys? Like you like the area or just
No.
how did that come about?
I want to be clear, Ocracoke's beautiful, but
Yes,
no,
yes.
it wasn't anything like that. A good friend of mine told me about an auction, and we decided, this is a great investment. And so we bought the Ocracoke Hotel. We already own a hotel in Florida, so we're familiar with that industry. And and my friend, showed us how nice Ocracoke is and how it aligns with our investment strategy. And we really think that it's an opportunity, 1, to build a great facility for that area, and 2, to make some money.
Yeah. So do you think your desire to like have your hand in so many different businesses is just like an entrepreneurial spirit in you, or?
It is. I get bored real easy. ADHD, by the way, I think most successful CEOs that I know have ADHD, and I definitely do. And I get bored if I don't have a lot of stuff going on. My wife and I were just talking about it last night about how insanely busy our lives are, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm nuts. Like, right now, my schedule is busier than it's ever been. Which is due to choice, I mean, I also do a lot of other volunteer work and help out on other boards, things like that too. But I love it, and it keeps my brain going, right? Like I need that mental challenge. It's just who I am.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself retiring?
No, that was a mistake when I tried doing it at 37. You can only go fishing so many times with 80-year-old men and hear about prostates when you're in their 30s. But that was a mistake, and I'll never do that again. I love working, and I'll work till the day I die. And I think hopefully that's a long time from now, not today or tomorrow. But I think that'll keep me happy, and I might not work as much.
Right.
And the other cool thing with technology, I can really work anywhere in the world these days.
Yeah.
With Starlink, I've been out fishing before in Costa Rica. and do board meetings right in the middle of the fishing trip while we were going out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. Like, I guess, and you've been kind of like front row seat to like the change in like cell phones and I guess like the power it's brought people.
Absolutely. People don't understand the changes that have come about with, cell phones and Starlink as well. I mean, just game changers. And, like I said, Zoom didn't exist, not too long ago.
What would you say to a young business owner who maybe has, like for me, I have like 10 employees.
That's a lot.
What would you say to me, like from your experience, like watching your company grow and trying to grow with people?
Well, first, I think one of the biggest challenges when you're growing a business, all businesses, I should say almost all, most businesses have sales, right? And oftentimes the person who's running sales is also the CEO. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing you want to do is get out of that, because every time you're working on running sales, you're not working on running the business. And every time you're running the business, you're not working on running sales. And then the next thing I tell you is there's really only 5 jobs of the CEO in my experience. Let's see if I can remember them off the top of my head because I didn't practice. So 1 is to set the kind of vision mission. That's what you talked about, right? Yeah. Follow me, here's where we're going. Yeah. 2 is cash, money. So are you making money, P&L? And do you have money, cash flow? Yeah. A lot of businesses go under because of cash flow more than P&L. Mm-hmm. 3, continue your own education. So do what you're doing now, talking to other people, going to seminars, reading books, reading the newspaper. I read the Wall Street Journal, WITN, Yahoo News, every single day. I just keep up with all the stories because it helps me stay fresh. Let's see, 4 is key relationships. Anybody can put you in business, put you out of business. So, your biggest customers, your lawyers, your attorneys, if they are the same, lawyers, accountants, things of that nature. And then let's see, 5, I'm forgetting 1, see, mission, vision, key relationships, money, continuing ed, and your employees, your team, right? So make sure that people who work for you and 1 level below them, that is like probably the most important job. Mm-hmm. And also I find a lot of people micromanage way too much. And so I also find that people don't cut people fast enough, right? One of the biggest mistakes I see in young CEOs is but don't get me wrong, I hate firing people, right? Nobody likes it. But sometimes the best thing you can do for somebody is to fire them when they're not a good fit. Yep. And so I rank every employee A, B, or C. My A's, I make sure they know they're A players. My B's, I figure out how to get them to be an A player in 90 days or less. And my C's, I tell them, see you later. And that's how I would probably solve what your challenge is. If they can't align with your vision and understand, you probably need to get rid of them.
Thankfully, we don't have anyone who's not aligning with the vision, but
because you probably got rid of them already, or they got rid of themselves, right?
Yeah.
And it's and look, I mean, people think I'm mean when I say that, but oftentimes I have people who we parted ways with come back and say, "This really wasn't the job for me, and because you let me go, I was able to go find my dream job, and I'm so happy. Thank you so much." Or, "Wow, I really wasn't given the effort I needed to. I realized that because you let me go, and my next time I did better, and thank you so much."
Right.
I'm sure there's people out there that hate me too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think that happens anytime you've hired a lot of people, and
gosh, yeah. I mean, I've probably hired over 100,000 people in my life.
Oh
now.
my gosh.
The thing about businesses is we all have the same challenges, right?
Yeah.
It's a size thing and a timing thing. The bigger you get, the number of employees or the dollar volume, depending on which one, we have the same problems. That's why YPO works so great because it's experience sharing, right? I'm not telling you what to do. I'm saying when I went through it, here's the lessons that I learned. You know? Until Mark taught me those 5 jobs of a CEO, I didn't know it. And I could have figured some of them out. Good employees, the right team at the right place. But, until you go through it and have a format for it, you go, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So what do you think is one small thing that has made a surprisingly big difference in your business?
One small thing that's made a surprisingly big difference in my business. No big something. I got it. Let's see. I would say one small thing. Big difference. I'd probably go back to Mark Moses and hiring a coach. I think that's made the biggest difference, right? And really investing in myself. So giving myself time to think. I think all too often as leaders, we get so busy. And like as a CEO, my biggest job is to think about the future. If I'm worried about today, it's too late. Right. And which is funny because I tell my wife all the time we need to stay in the present. But as a job as a CEO, I do have to think about the future and plan that. So I think... but the small thing was hiring a coach. I think that made the biggest difference for my life. Okay.
And what's one piece of technology that you can't live without in your business?
Oh, come on. That's obvious. It's the cell phone, right? I mean, 1, we sell it, and 2, I live on mine. I mean, the calendar, text messaging, email, everything's all through my phone. So technology, that's definitely the one. And I unfortunately, I'd say that's the same for a lot of people.
Yeah. And what kind of cell phone do you have?
Right now, I'm carrying a Samsung Fold 7, so it's a pretty cool phone.
Does it fold in half?
It does. It opens up to
cool.
really big, right?
Ooh.
So, and so as opposed to the small size, and it's really thin too. It's probably thinner than your phone.
I have like an iPhone. It's over there somewhere.
So yeah, I'm not an Apple person. My wife hates me for it.
Is she Apple person?
She's an Apple person all the way through and through.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So you're saying if I go to Victra.
Victra, yeah.
Nice.
So by the way, and our stores don't say Victra. I mean, they do in real small letters, but in Greenville, our store is across from McAllister's Deli.
Yeah.
So it's the Verizon store there, next to Stanton Optical and across from McAllister's Deli. That's the only store I have in Greenville. There's 2 other Verizon stores, and people think they're mine, but they're not.
Oh,
and
interesting.
So, but I only have 1 store out of the Greenville stores, and we'd be happy to help people. I've got a great team there. Lindsay's our store manager. Eric Hazelton's another person a lot of people in town know who's working with us there now as well as a manager. So great team.
So if I have like a Verizon, like I have a business or corporate account, is that you?
We can take care of it for you. Okay. Anything to do with Verizon, we can help.
Okay, cool.
Doesn't matter where you bought it at.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
We used to have a rep. I haven't seen him in a long time. So
Go on over there and see Eric. He'll take care of it.
If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Let's see, Apple stock, Amazon stock, NVIDIA these days. I mean, those would all be great. I wouldn't have to work if I bought enough of that. No. Let's see. Now, seriously, as far as the one piece of advice, I'd probably tell myself that it's okay to make a mistake and that you're going to get through it, right? Because that one mistake that I made when I really lost a lot of money that one year, it was a hard year.
Yeah.
It's a hard year, especially when you're used to being super successful like I was and am. And so, but it's important for people to know, not just, that I make mistakes, including my kids, I have to tell them that I do, but it's important people know it's okay, right? Yeah. And my favorite movie is The Lion King. Yeah. And there's a great scene in it where Rafiki the monkey hits Simba on the head and Simba says, ow. Do you remember this scene?
Yeah.
And he says, oh, that hurt. He goes, it's the past. You can't run from it. All you can do is learn from it. And I think that's probably the best advice you can ever give someone.
That's good. We were just in Disney World with the kids. My youngest is, I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oh, fun
So
times.
it was perfect time to go. But she loved like the Lion King. When we went to Animal Kingdom, they had like a whole
it's
Broadway
great.
show.
We love going to Disney.
Yeah. Besides your business, what's one passion or hobby that recharges your batteries?
Yeah, so for me, I love fishing. So I go fishing mostly with my brother, with a few other friends, but we'll go out fishing. I don't care what kind of fish it is, freshwater, saltwater, offshore, inshore. If I'm on a boat, I'm happy.
Okay.
And if I have a pole in my hand, it's even better.
Nice. And how can people find you online?
Oh gosh.
Are you on social media or
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, so
Okay.
people can always look me up, Rich Balot, only 1 L in the last name. I'm on Facebook. I don't connect with a lot of people on Facebook. I kind of watch
LinkedIn.
on Facebook.
Most people say LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's more of the place to find me. And
and then your business is Victra.
Victra, Victra. And look, my email address is just rich@victra.com. I don't care. I'm not one of those unreachable CEOs. Customers email me all the time. Employees email me. And strangers, doesn't matter to me. There's only one of me, so sometimes a little slower to respond.
Yeah.
But happy to talk to anybody.
Well, that's really cool. I think when you said unreachable CEO, I think that's how most CEOs are. So it's cool that
They're just busy. That's all.
And it's nothing personal.
So, yeah, it's tough. I mean, the larger we get, it's some people ask me like, Rich, why do you still talk? I'm like, I enjoy it, and also I came from nothing, so I think I understand it a little bit more than some of the folks who, started off with a lot more and grew into it.
Really cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and getting to hear more about your story. And I'm sure other people listening will be able to benefit from it too.
Cool. Thank you. Hope so. Appreciate it.
And we'll see you next week.